Hey there, I'm Kelly Fletter, and welcome to the Grit, Guts, and Courage show. And in this show, we talk to people who have been through something, and it took them some grit, guts, and courage to get through it. So today I'm talking to Laura, and I'm so excited to hear her story because I know a little bit about her story, but I have no idea what she's going to talk about today. So Laura, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Kelly, so much. I'm really excited to be here because, everybody has a story. And I think a lot of people can relate to my story that I want to tell today. So just a little bit about me, my background. I am actually a clinical pharmacist through training. And my transformation and what I do now is I'm a master Akashic Record consultant and teacher. And I'm also an intuitive creator of art. And I think my transformation that really, it took time. I think a lot of people think you have to, I got hit by lightning and I had this epiphany. Mine was very slow, but it was filled with ease and grace because Spirit knew exactly the steps I needed to take to make my transformation. I grew up south side of Chicago, very traditional Catholic family. I had 6 siblings. I always knew I wanted to be in the healing field. And I was always good in science and math. And back then, you give me blood and guts, and I loved it. I mean, it was like, that was me. That was my passion. That was my adrenaline. That was my rush. That was my focus. That's what I wanted to do. And I was healing people, doing all of this. So I was told, hey, yeah, you're good, and I knew I didn't want to be, I knew what things I didn't want to be, but I was always directed by family and guidance counselors that put your healing, science and math, go into pharmacy. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense to me. And so that's what I did. And later I did that for years. I mean, I worked all different facets. But I never truly loved what I did. I was extremely good at what I did. And that was my kind of like, I stayed in my lane. I was told this is what you're good at. This is what you should do. This was my zone of excellence. Very good. Anybody, boom, boom, boom. I can rattle off, protocols, formulas, whatever, drug interactions, boom, boom, boom. But I really never felt that was the true me. That was not my soul calling. And it took me a while. It took me like into my 30s to kind of shake that and leave that tribe. I had that tribe mentality because this is what you did. And you did this for the rest of your life. You didn't change careers. And, heavens forbid, you went into some kind of alternative field, like, it was just not the thing to do. So, and I think a lot of women even now do that, stay home, the energies are shifting. And for me, it took little inklings, little steps. I started with like dream analysis. I did dream analysis, and that led me to how to read auras. And that took me to, hey, everything is energy. And that clicked for me because that's what I relate to. Everything is energy, laws of, first law of energy. And I'm like, oh, that was a true initiation for me. And then that led me to working with Dr. Brian Weiss to be certified to do past life regressions. I'm like, oh, where's this coming from? I hate to say it, but I would on this like this inner work, like explosion for me. I mean, I did, you name it, and I probably, it's like, I probably did it. And then I found the Akashic Records, which was another, it was almost like a precursor to what we talk about, the quantum field now. And so I worked in then, and I was able to do healing in the Akashic Records. And it's not only information, but it's guidance, wisdom, and healing. So there was this big, like a spiritual exploration, but they were in little segments. It wasn't that big, I get, hit in the head by a, like the spiritual 2x4. I did a huge amount of shamanic work, which led me back to being in oneness and being oneness with nature. So, I did that. So I went from this hardcore science in one world, and then I was able to explore the unseen world equally. And that's where my draw was. That's where my heart was. You could just, it's like you can just feel it, and you're like, oh, you're home. This is what you want to do. So so that's a little bit about me. And that's what I do with my business. I work with people who are ready to step into their healing and look at their highest potential in the now.
Did you struggle with some judgment? Because, I know that tends to be one of the reasons why people don't embrace their spiritual gifts, is because they're so worried about what everybody's thinking about them. Oh yeah, you're just a crazy person. You're this woo-woo person.
Yeah.
How did that affect you?
Yeah. I was very fortunate that, my siblings and, my parents were supportive. They really kind of didn't understand what I was, a lot of what I was doing, especially with the shamanic work, it's like, is this a cult? Like, would she, and I'm like, no. And so I try to explain and try to, and let them see what I'm doing. I mean, nothing was hidden, so everything was in full disclosure. I remember my little nephews would call me Auntie Woo Woo, like they'd come to my house and I'd have a nice big piece of like rose quartz, and little kids are just drawn to the crystals and drawn to that. And so they were like just so enamored by the rattles that I had and whatever. And my sisters were very good. They just let the kids be, and see. So they're pretty open, I guess, compared to others. And then I found a spiritual group, a women's group, and the doors just kind of opened. This person led me to this person and this person. So you had that support. And I think even now, even more so, because they were out, it's so international now because of Zoom and, like all these other ways to build community. People are looking for community.
Yeah, they are. They want that sense of belonging to something that is similar to them and can relate to the experiences that they are, experiencing.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did you get through that whole process of going from scientist to woo-woo?
Well, yeah,
because
and it's I never quite told people, because I was in healthcare and I worked in a lot of I worked in business. I worked with large pharmaceutical companies. I worked at, as in a hospital setting. And honestly, I was still very selective on who I told, what I told. I remember talking to, and this is kind of recent, a couple of years ago, I told somebody I was working with in my department, and And she said something like, oh, I just can't, I can't work with him, I can't work with this person. And I just instinctively, with no filter, said, I said, oh, that's probably, you guys probably have a past life issue that, that brought you two together. And she said, don't talk about that. It scares me.
Mm.
So I thought, okay, step back, be a little bit more discerning. But so it was different. Yeah, it was still, and that was only maybe like 2 years ago. And and here I am, kind of like broadcasting, Akashic Records. And I have I created an Oracle deck, and it just kind of, it was so natural for me. And I'm like, oh, there's, I still kind of have to step back a little.
But
Yeah.
there's still people that are still not embracing the
Yeah.
whole spiritual realm.
Yeah.
Okay, so what would you tell somebody who comes to you and said, you know what, Laura, I feel certain things. I don't know what it is, but I'm just not sure what it is. So what would you tell somebody that's, going through that transition? They're, the same position that you're in, they're in that scientific role, or
Yeah.
that, that,
Yeah.
and then they feel like they've got something, they're not sure what it is. And they don't know if they should embrace it or push it away or whatever. What would you tell somebody going through that?
I see this a lot. In the readings and the coaching that I do. Whether it's, we might open up your Akashic Records, or we just might do an intuitive coaching session. But a lot of this can be based on old beliefs. You have an old belief system. You might have societal and ancestral limitations that are still in the subconscious that need to be, need to be brought out. Some of this is even held in the body. I mean, your body is so smart. It has body wisdom. Something may have happened, and it's still like in the cells. I mean, when I'll do a reading, I can see it. I can see the little mitochondria, and I can see if there's like a little, to me, it looks like a little knot, or a little, like a little visual cue, like, oh, it's over here, or something like that, or like parts of the DNA of the, like the whole DNA strand is, it's dimmed. It's like, okay, we need to energetically kind of light that up. So I pull a lot of my science into my readings, which is great for me, because I know the body so well, or I know like the systems. So I pull that into, and it's amazing how much can get cleared if you're ready. And spirit never gives you more than what you can handle. I mean, it's like how I was on my journey with the little steps. That's what the person will get to.
Right.
When I work with them, or it might be, the spirit might just say, hey, let's do something creative. And it might be, hey, let's create, let's do, I created my Sacred Attunement Oracle deck. And it might be, hey, you know what, let's create your own deck, your own personal deck. And maybe it's only 8 cards, but that's healing too. And that's unraveling and unwinding the beliefs. So it depends, every person is different. So, and that's really what you have to remember too. I always say, my little kind of like mantra when I work with people, I always say, let's discover the undiscovered you.
Nice.
And it's you, and you don't compare yourself to other people, like, oh, they had this thing, or they had this big epiphany, or no. Let's get back to you, because You are your authority.
Right. Beautiful. I love it. Okay, so what's the gift in it?
My, you know what, I think is being an example for others.
Mm. Mhm.
Because I think in the beginning, I didn't have the confidence to do this. And it's, it's like, oh, well, why me? There's so many other people doing this, it's like, no, I have unique gifts and talents that resonate with the right people. And those people find me. And they can be an example for others. And that's how the service, being of service, just kind of continues.
Yeah, and you're right. Like there is so many people doing what you're doing, but it's all about who do you resonate with,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Who are you in alignment with? Yeah.
I've met lots of people where it's like, no, 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 I don't think, you and I'd be a good fit.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And I don't really trust your messages or whatever, right?
Um,
'Cause
and
yeah,
and I'm honest with people too. I said, take whatever resonates and leave the rest.
exactly.
I mean, spirit gives, the universe will give you the message. And sometimes you're not ready. You're only ready to receive, 10%. But then
Mhm.
6 months from now, you're like, oh my God, I forgot she said this, or, I forgot that was in the, because they're ready.
That's right. Okay, so what do you do for people? Like, how do you help them? And like, are you a shaman or like, what do you call yourself? What do you do?
I call myself an intuitive healer
Okay.
because I think people heal themselves. And what I do, I distill everything that I have learned, everything that I have experienced, all my teachings. It's kind of like, do you think of like, here we go back to my science, like one of those distillation apparatuses, you see these, like in Frankenstein, the things are bubbling and everything like that. And each one is something different. And I am able to distill, like this person needs a shamanic guide to come in. This person needs a creative something,
Right.
activity to do, to really anchor that in. This person needs what, and it comes through everything, and I'm able to assimilate all of this. So it might be a shamanic art journey.
Mhm.
I don't know, but that's what I get told. I'm open, and that's what I get told to do.
That's so cool. I love it. I love people can really embrace their spiritual side. I love that.
Mhm.
Okay, so what kind of words of wisdom do you have?
Um, I think my biggest words of wisdom is say yes to transformation.
Nice.
Yeah. No matter what no matter what that is, say yes to your superpower. And sometimes we don't even know what our superpower is, but as long as you're in alignment with your true self, like one of my superpowers is I'm 5'7". So one of my superpowers is when I'm at the grocery store, I'm able to get items from the top shelf for these little old ladies that are like trying to. I'm like, oh, I can get that for you. And maybe that was my purpose for that day, to help that one person. But that's my superpower. I walk in and I know I'm going to help at least one person, usually every day that I walk in there. Well, yeah, so yeah, so the woo isn't all of this sitting and meditating. It's getting out there and being of service. And that's what it's just one of the things that I do. So yeah, so think of it, even if you think of it that way.
I love it because sometimes I feel like I overthink what my superpower is. And if somebody was to ask me that, I'd be freaking out. I'd be like, oh my God, don't make me think about that. I don't know what my superpower is.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and as I think out of the box, but it's just being of service.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so
Anyway.
Laura, where can people get in touch with you? And I know you've got a card deck out there, and I know you're working on a book, and so
Yeah.
where can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, my website is littleaspenstudios.com. And it has all the information about my products. I have my card deck on there. I have sacred geometry jewelry that I do. And everything that I make hand-bound books is all infused with my energy. So I put all of my energy in there. So information about my readings and how to work with me. So
Excellent. Thank you so much, Laura. It's just been so awesome chatting with you and getting to know you a little bit better, and I love it. So thank you.
Kelly.
You're very welcome. So thank you for watching this episode of the Grit, Guts, and Courage, and we'll see you on the next episode. And also keep in mind, we have a book called Grit, Guts, and Courage. So have a great day, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.